Hi everyone, it's Lauren, and in this video I wanted to do some book recommendations for people who aren't going on holiday, or at least aren't going abroad and perhaps are having a staycation, because it can be grim enough when everyone else is jet-setting around the world and you're not, but also you get all these summer holiday reads, videos and recommendations for what to read by the beach. But what if you're not on a beach, huh? That's what this video is for. Now, I will say that the common thread that links these three books together is that they are all from the perspective of children in the UK during the summer holidays. So if you are from the UK, I think you'll find a lot of familiarity within these books. And if you're not, then be prepared to learn a little bit about the Great British Summertime. The first recommendation I have for you is The Museum of You by Caris Bray. This is about a young girl called Clover whose mum died when she was very, very small and so has subsequently been raised by her dad. After going on a school trip to a museum, she gets the idea to start a museum of her own because her dad has never gone through her mum's stuff and never cleared out her bedroom. So there is a wealth of objects all stored in boxes which Clover decides to go through and curate her own little mini exhibition of her mum. So we're looking at family, we're looking at how we remember people and whether it's important that you remember people truthfully or if you remember them emotionally, and kind of what that means for Clover, having never met her mother, understanding a piece of herself, understanding her mum and dad's relationship. And it's so beautiful and it's very funny as well, despite the slightly heartbreaking subject matter. Clover is at the same time spending a lot of time down her dad's allotment. She's playing with a new girl from school who she didn't really know during term time, and she spends a lot of time with her hilariously batty next door neighbour who's babysitting her. And this really evokes that feeling of when you're a child on the summer holidays and you have no responsibility, you have nowhere that you need to be, and you have absolutely all of the time in the world. So it's that kind of boredom coupled with this own interest that she has in her mother that's really driving this passion project, I guess, for Clover, and she just can really focus all of her time and energy on it. And it's also so beautifully written, and it mixes the humour of the characters with the sadness of the situation just so wonderfully. Next up we have The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Cannon. This book is set in the summer of 1976 when there was a big heat wave throughout the UK, and we follow two young girls, Grace and Tilly, who are trying to solve the mystery of one of their neighbours' wives who has completely disappeared. So they have all these theories that she's been murdered or whatnot is going on, and they're going round asking questions through all their neighbours. But through Grace and Tilly's eyes, we get a snapshot of this cul-de-sac and all of the various eccentric people who live down there. And there is a whole cast of characters in this book. There's quite a lot to follow in it, but it paints such a beautiful picture of the great British public and how nuts we all go when it gets a little bit too hot. And as the novel continues, people are getting more and more agitated and stir crazy with the heat, and crazy things start happening, like there's a stain next to a drain pipe which someone says looks like Jesus. So then people start getting their deck chairs out and sitting next to Jesus every morning and calling the reporters to come and report on Jesus, and it just grows and grows and grows in its absurdity, and I found it very, very funny. And if you're looking for a book which packs even more of an emotional punch than, say, The Museum of You, I would recommend My Name is Leon by Kit de Wall. This is about a young boy called Leon and his little baby brother who get taken into foster care, but Leon's baby brother, who is white, gets adopted off very quickly, and Leon, who is quite a lot older and is mixed race, does not. So he's dealing with this separation, he's dealing with coming to terms with his new situation, with his foster carers, and this new life, and he's just getting to the age where he's starting to know himself as a person as well. But again, this takes place during the summer holidays, and he spends a lot of time riding around on his bike and going to the allotments where he's meeting other men who do the allotments and learning about that side as well. It covers quite a lot of topics because we're looking at the care system, I guess, from a certain angle, and it's also dealing with race and the relations of different communities within London in the UK. So while Leon seemingly does have the freedom as the characters in the other books that I've just recommended, just to roam around the streets because he hasn't got any school, he's actually very bound by the baggage of his past and the trauma that he's gone through by losing his relationship with his mum, losing his baby brother, and then trying to work out who he's going to be and get that male role model for who he wants to be when he grows up as well. But despite this seemingly very heartbreaking plot, there is a lot of love in this book, there's a lot of hope in this book, and it's the kind of thing you might want to pick up if you fancy a little bit of a cry, but you also don't want something too bleak. Then this book kind of strikes the correct balance. All three of these books came out a year or two ago, so they're not exactly brand new, but the similarities between the plot and the overall style I thought was too good an opportunity to miss, especially for this time of year. It's just so appropriate to read these kind of stories, I think. Let me know what you like like to read if you're not going on holiday, if you're sitting in the park, if you're sitting in the garden. What are your plans for the summer? And I'll see you next time. Bye.